Thanks very much for joining us for this edition of the Intermodal Logistics Podcast. I'm Kevin Baxter, joined by my co-host for this edition, InTek Logistics CEO, Rick LaGore. Hey, Rick.
Hey, great to be back.
And so we've talked about AI a couple different times on the podcast, though not as much recently. It's not like it went anywhere, though. In fact, it's going places, but
it's
not
going lots of places, and it's going fast.
Yeah, but we haven't talked about it as much lately, and we also there are a lot of different applications for AI within transportation logistics. We've dabbled a bit ourselves, and others are looking at it and thinking about it as well. So who better to talk about it than somebody who both knows the whole AI landscape and something that is geared towards transportation and logistics. Peter Qian, the CEO of Ventus AI. Peter, thanks very much for joining us.
Great to be here. Yeah. Although I want to say a word about, I don't think I know everything in the AI landscape, just given how fast it develops right now. I feel like I couldn't even keep up with the progress. So yeah.
It's almost unknowable, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Technology always tends to move faster than we think it is going to.
Yeah. Especially during this time. Yeah.
But the fact that you already say that you don't know everything means that you're on the cutting edge of it, that you can be aware enough to, say that it's impossible. Anyway, before we get all the way started, we do like to do a little bit of a bio of our guests. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the background that you do have with AI.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I started my career in AI at Meta. At the time, it wasn't even called Meta. It was called Facebook. It was more than 10 years ago. And for some of the audience who are curious, they did not pay me $100 million, unfortunately. So it was very early on. So, and you can call it the innocent times of AI. There's less hype. It's actually a very niche concept. It's less general. The first AI model I built basically tries to figure out who you want to be friends with on Facebook, and that's the only thing it does. And we thought that was magical. That seems to be the AI. And obviously, through the years, it has redefined our expectation about what it can do. I myself oftentimes get surprised by its capability all the time. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it goes. And then here we are, like in the during this time, I feel like it's definitely at the edge, has a potential of transforming a lot more industry, like not just tech industry, but applicable to many other industries. Yeah.
So, talking about the friend, sort of what a lot of people call the algorithm. When did we kind of switch to just calling everything, AI was around for a while before people started using AI as like the terminology
Term.
Yeah. When did that kind of shift?
Yeah. I think it was actually when there's actually a couple moments in the development, the short history of modern AI. When people talk about AI nowadays, they're mostly referring to what we call modern AI. And I think the starting point was actually in 2012 when people discover AI is at least as good as human in recognizing what's in the image. And it was done by an algorithm called neural network at that time. Yeah. And it's a fancy name, but you can think about this and another algorithm. And what's different about this algorithm is that it can really improve over time with more and more data, like clean data. And then you can probably look at the history of modern AI as like how people are training model with more data, larger model with more data. And then that results in better and better capabilities across a variety of tasks. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, you can still call AI a algorithm, but it's powered by a very particular kind of algorithm that we call it neural network or deep neural network. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. Yeah. So nothing magical about it. It's just algorithm, right? So yeah.
The results can be magical sometimes, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you talked about the different applications of AI, and you've explored different applications yourself, and that sort of led into to Ventus AI. So tell us about what Ventus does.
Yeah, so maybe I was continue my story in AI and see how I got into logistics
Yeah.
and freight. Yeah, so after Meta, I actually built a robotics company that does warehouse automation, like doing
Mm.
picking and placing uh, at an e-commerce warehouse. Yeah, and that's when I saw firsthand how much like tedious work there is in logistic operation. And then that company was acquired by Amazon last year. And then a couple of us didn't want to go back to big tech. I had my run there and feel like this technology can be broadly applicable to many players in the space. Uh, and that's why we founded Ventus. The idea is to, okay, let's apply this concept of AI to try to eliminate tedious work in logistic and freight operations. And that's what we do, right? Right now we build AI agents that are handle a lot of the tedious work throughout the life cycle of a load for mostly freight brokers like logistic providers.
So the agent piece you mentioned, that's something that I think has started to gain steam. Really, I think last year was when you started really hearing a lot about agents. But tell us what's different about AI agents, and what exactly they do. Like, so what they are and what they do.
Yeah, so that's obviously AI agent is another, I'll call it overhyped or concept with a lot of noise. There's just a lot of definitions of it. Uh, but what we see it as is a piece of technology that can leverage different tools, the different tools you use, such as your email or the system you use, your portals. It can make good decision based on the different context it has. It can communicate very well intuitively with human staff. Uh, and at the end of it, it can complete a non-trivial piece of work for you. It's almost like a virtual employee
Mhm.
that can do work for you. Yeah, that's what we see it. I don't think it's a chatbot. In a lot of cases, it's mostly people, yeah. When people have a chatbot, they say it's AI agent because it should do more than just questions and answering. And it's also not traditional RPA or bots because it's highly adaptable across different systems and can make dynamic decisions. Yeah. So yeah, we probably need another podcast on what's AI agent.
Yeah, probably, because as I see people implement AI in our industry, I really see it in three areas. I see AI, or at least the term being used, AI agents or technology, in terms of just analyzing data and trying to get into what does that data mean, and possibly matching up capacity with trends in the data to be more efficient in terms of grabbing capacity and more efficient in terms of getting a better price. So I see that part. And then I see the AI side being other people using it more as chatbots and basically taking out the human in terms of interactions. Let's say call checks that they have with drivers, and they've put technology on that is what sounds like a human, but it's really a chatbot. Essentially, is the way I would look at it. They have that for call checks. They have it for negotiating rates with carriers, and they also have it out there for just other basic phone call kind of things that come in. And then I see the other side, so the third leg of AI agents being used, much the way we're using them and how we engage with you, is that we're using them to take tasks that they're highly valuable and need to get done, but the customer doesn't really see tremendous value out of them. It helps us in billing. It helps us in tracking freight. It helps us in a whole bunch of things to make us better to do stuff and easier to interact with and easier to do business with. And so those are kind of the three areas that I see people using the technology side or using AI. So when I look at it, I really see, as I said, really three legs of that technology and how it's being implemented. And everybody's doing it a little bit differently. Some are just doing one, some are doing two, some are doing all three. Hey, thoughts on that? Am I oversimplifying it, or am I really getting screwed up on what I'm considering what's AI and what's not?
It's definitely an evolving landscape. Just like the concept of AI itself, I think it takes up so many different definitions through its development. Yeah,
Yes.
But you're on point. I mean, just on what we are doing, I think at the end of the day, it's all about how we can help you service the customer better. So even if we are not doing the customer facing task, what we are seeing is that we're helping you to do the tedious work so that your staff can have more time for the customer facing piece, actually building relationship. Yeah. So I think like what I want to say is the AI agent is trying to do work for you, but at the end, always to try to help your business serve your customer better. And some might be customer facing, some might be not customer facing. Yeah. So
yes. So let's just talk about one of them that we put in place just here recently. I really got interested in the AI technology really, and let's call it late third quarter, fourth quarter last year. And I started to really dive in and said, okay, I'm just going to do some of these accounting transactions just so I can understand what our accounting team is doing and how they're progressing and getting things done. And I just found a bunch of really tedious, as you were talking earlier, tedious, repetitive tasks. And for example, we have a customer that has a specific need that they have to have their accessorial charges on their sheet of paper, has to have their backup that says that we approve it, has to have our invoice, and typically ends up including a couple other documents. And so I decided, well, let's give this a try. I just want to see how long does it actually take to put all these documents together. And it was taking us, I don't know, about 7 minutes, 8 minutes per accessorial charge to pull all this stuff together. Called you. Actually, we met at a trade conference, trade show, and I was explaining this, and I was explaining some other things, and you said, "Oh, Rick, this is easy. This is right down the middle of the fairway for us." And so through the AI agent that you built, I mean, we can do like 150 of these transactions in less than like, I don't know, I think it takes like 3 minutes now. And it, creates the invoice, fills all the documents, combines them all into a single document. And then we email out each 150 of them out to our customer on a particular accessorial charge. Explain how that works. To me, it's magic. Yeah. And as I've been working with your team, they tell me that there's a whole bunch of people just plugging around and just typing keys. We know that's not the case because no one can type that fast. So explain to us how that technology works and makes that repetitive task. How does it pull together? How does it think? How does it learn?
That's actually a great example. Yeah, because it's a tedious piece of work. It does involve multiple tools or system you're using. You mentioned email. It also involves your own TMS system, I believe, as well as your ERP system, because you need to verify, also input information across different systems. And what we are really good at is we build AI agents that can use your emails, any of your portals, such as your TMS, ERP, without an API integration. Yeah, so we basically read your email directly, and then we can plug in logins to your system, directly sees what's on the screen, see what information is on it, help you verify the information, help you pull information, and helps you input information on those systems. And this is all done without an API, which means that you could, if your task spans across multiple systems, that's not a problem for us. We use your system intuitively, just like a human. And that's what we see as the frontier of the AI agent. Yeah. And then talking about the speed, right? So it does cut it down from, I believe, like maybe 10 plus hours, like to maybe in total to maybe like 3 minutes. The reason why we can do it is not by having our staff typing things really, really fast. The AI agents were able to do it because they can do it in parallel, right? So what happens behind the scene is that they're actually we actually spin up, I believe, 150. Let's say you have 150 invoices to verify. We spin up 150 of them because it doesn't really cost a lot to have a lot of them running. It does all of them in parallel. Takes your email, goes into one system, verify it, goes to another system, generate the invoice and stitch them together, sends out a email. And since they're doing it 150 of them doing it in parallel, of course, it's all done in 3 minutes. And obviously, in this task, accuracy is also very important, right?
Oh,
because you don't want to send out invoice for random charges to your customer. And the way we do it is that we're really trying to, when I say there are 150 AI agents doing the work, there's actually another layer, what we call the supervisor kind of AI. That's another AI model. We train. The whole job of the AI agent is to verify what's going on. Like, is the result correct? Yeah. So in reality, it's actually 150 agents doing the work, and then there's another agent that's doing all the verification. Because for these tasks, once you automate them, you want to make sure the accuracy is correct. And then, Rick, you can go on vacation, right? So
there we go. That's what it matters.
Yeah.
Now we're getting down to the important part.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, as you're explaining this, then, as I see things growing on the AI agent side, essentially, team members end up getting their own team of AI agents working for them. So essentially, they'll be supervising a supervisor that is then supervising these tasks, if we want to get like even further into the weeds. So that's a really interesting concept, that there's a supervisor over these AI agents. But again, I think I see the team members actually having several people working for them, but instead of people, they have these agents working for them.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's highly scalable. So this is very different from having, for example, human staff. It's hard for you to hire. All of a sudden, you want 150 people doing the work. You can spin up 150 agents like very, very quickly, right? So highly scalable.
One of the really cool parts of your technology versus the others that when we met at this trade conference earlier in the year was that API connections. So yours does not require API connections. It's actually operating as a human when it's going to, different websites, portals, whatever. I mean, in logistics, customers continually want us logistics providers to do more of their work for them, scheduling, reporting, all kinds of stuff. And just say for scheduling, I mean, all the customers that we have and all the customers that they go deliver into, okay, we have to go schedule in their portals. Well, to go ahead and set up an API connection would be extraordinarily expensive. You'd have hundreds of API connections that you'd have to go ahead, super costly, versus what you guys operate is what I would call, an agent that operates really more as a human than as really a bot of some sort that would require an API connection. Talk to me a little bit more about that, or talk to us a little bit more about how you can differentiate yourself that way and what that does for your people. For us, it means a whole bunch more opportunities and at a whole lot less expense.
Exactly. Yeah. So for us, that's actually one of the biggest pain points we saw when we started Ventus, is that everyone's on different system and you have your own TMS. Your customer may have their own portals or their own TMS. And for your TMS, you may or may not have an API connection, but with all the customer you have, there might be maybe 10, 20, even hundreds of portals you have to deal with. That for sure you don't have API connection with every one of them. So what we've seen is that staff at the company like InTek will be busy, like doing a lot of the data entry work, pulling information from email or one portal, putting into another. Yeah, and that's why we build this agent to have this kind of capability. We call it computer using capability. It's using the portal just like a human, so that we can circumvent the barrier of the API. And of course, it's still doing this the action the same way as humans. So it's not trying to hack any system. It's still doing the task at the same, following the same procedure as a human. Yeah. So, and we found it really useful because in a lot of cases, customer requires you to enter information to their system because they want better service. Right? Perhaps they want more timely update. And to give out another example that we recently have online with another trucking customer, one of the things they pride themselves on is the timely update to their customer. And their customer basically require them to basically pull information from their TMS and put that kind of the latest status of where the truck is, why is it late, all this information onto the customer's TMS. And they used to have people doing it. This information obviously lives in their TMS. They have to put it into many different TMS. They have human doing it. It's very tedious. It's error prone. But now we fully automated that. And we're able to have AI agents that's doing this periodically. Like every 30 minutes, our AI agent will be checking all of their loads. And if there's an update, they put that update into the customer system. And so this where this piece of technology really helped. And like we definitely pride ourselves on using this piece of unique capability to get into more steps about in the life cycle of a load, right? Because a lot of the solutions are point solutions, like they may automate one step of it, but for the other steps, because they don't have an API integration, they cannot do it. For us, it doesn't really matter. We can really help you in every single step of a load because of the unique capability we have. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you talked about the API connections can be costly. There's also another tedious element involved in just setting those up and monitoring them, because a lot of times you have to renew them, make sure that they're still working and everything. So there's a lot of different elements there that taking that out of the equation seems to address.
Yeah. So API connection does not, even if you have them, does not come free, right? You might need to pay for them. You might need to have your IT staff actually connect them. And a lot of times they may be outdated sometimes because you may have new piece of information, maybe something on your end change, or maybe the customer end changes something, the API connection may break. And ultimately what we're doing is to provide what we call the universal API, because the user interface is the universal API, right? So we should just use that API and that should help you with all kinds of tasks you have.
So we've talked about a couple of examples. So as you deal with different companies, or different companies may be watching and or listening to this, I always, if you're watching, you're probably listening, but I know some people use captions. So, okay, maybe I should back off that. Anyway, for companies that are following this, are there out of the box solutions, or is it always customized? Do you start with sort of a meeting and just kind of figure out what the pain points are and then go from there in terms of creating AI agents?
Yeah, so like to get started, it's actually fairly lightweight. We basically need a demonstration of your process. And if you want to start with an email, maybe a couple example email that you want the agent to understand. And then we can give you like basically a working agent within a couple of days. And one of the things I want to point out is that this process actually does not require you to have heavy upfront IT investment, because I think that in this industry, has been like a hurdle for a lot of the tech adoption. We don't require you to have like a huge IT team working with us for 3 months and then we can finally connect with your system. It really is what we really need is the same access as the users to the system that we need to use, and then we can get started. And we don't need you to be an IT expert. We don't need you to be an AI expert. Yeah. So it's fairly lightweight. We're really trying to shorten the time to value, because right now everyone is looking for saving. They want saving quickly. So we want to demonstrate that very quickly. And beyond that, I think as we iterate, we normally will start finding more and more opportunity to automate. Yeah. Even though right now, if you talk about the use cases we do, they're like, I can name maybe 4 or 5 like seemingly standard procedure, like load building, scheduling, track and tracing, invoicing, but everyone's doing these tasks differently. So as we get in, usually we'll need to customize it more and more for every single one of the use case. And to do that efficiently, we actually have a way to enable your staff to teach the agent as well. Yeah. So for example, if our agent is encountering a edge case that has never seen before, like maybe a new customer you have, you will actually communicate with your staff saying, hey, I've never seen this before. What do you want me to do in this case? And in a lot of cases, your staff can just respond to the email teaching how the agent should handle like this unseen case before. Yeah. And that's how we kind of figure out a way to scale up our agent, the automation, more efficient, because everyone has bespoke, seemingly like these processes, they sound standard, but they're actually quite bespoke. Everyone has their own process. And there's also a lot of tribal knowledge involved. Right? And to effectively automate this, our agent needs to learn how to deal with all of these.
So the interactions then, you're basically you integrate it into the company's sort of structure, and then empower the employees to not only help train, but is there, in a case like an edge case that you're just mentioning, and they provide some guidance there, is there then a follow-up to sort of check the work again in that kind of situation when there's a little concern there?
Yeah. So there's also another way to interact with it through the quality control step. Yeah, that is actually like one of the cases we have with InTek as well. Like there's, for example, one crucial operation where we are automating the process to revoke an order, right, and to revoke a tender offer. Yeah, and then that is very critical piece of a kind of operation that you don't want to make any mistakes. And in that operation, we actually have a quality control step where before the agent actually revokes it, we will actually loop in the corresponding staff member to double check it before it takes an action. Yeah. So that quality control piece is also something we provide, and that really helps us from critical in these kind of call it mission critical operations.
So we've talked about a couple of more behind the scenes things. I mean, there are emails involved, so that there is sort of an end product interacting with the customer. But are there any other more like overtly customer facing agents that you've done through Ventus with different companies?
Yeah. So I think in a lot of cases, yes, we do work kind of behind the scene, because you kind of want these tedious tasks, you just want them done, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, for example, we do provide like a dashboard, what we call command center, where you can see what these agents are doing, how many are running, how many workflow it has completed, what's the success rate, what's the workflow kind of trending over time. And then you can obviously, when the agent's doing the task, you can actually jump in and see what the agent's doing on their computer. So it's almost like a virtual employee. You can do a screen share to their computer anytime. This is a feature we do mostly for quality control. Most of the time, you don't need to use it, right? Because when you want to automate a piece of task, you don't want to watch it to do it all the time. Yeah, right. That kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah. But we do have these kind of interaction that trying to make the agents kind of what they're doing more transparent to you. Yeah, so you can trust what it's doing. Yeah.
So we talked about the time savings on the particular process that you've worked with us on so far. What are some other examples of just how much time you can save from by automating a lot of these tedious tasks, as you said?
Yeah, I mean, there's we basically touch every single step of the life cycle of a load nowadays, like from load building to scheduling to tracking, tracing, all the way to invoicing. And for example, one of our earliest customer, we actually automated 80% of their load building. And that's really critical, because when you get a load, you want it to build fast. It's very tedious, but you have to get it done fast and accurately before you start shipping. And that's really big. I do see, as the technology progress, any repetitive and mundane task in the life cycle of a load can probably be automated by this piece of technology. We're getting there. We're not there yet. But right now, with like this kind of 80% of the load building automated, it is already providing a tremendous amount of value.
So the natural concern, and I mean, this is a question that comes up anytime you talk AI doing work, is how does it affect employees who there's a concern that there could be job losses related to agents doing some of these tasks, because there are people who maybe focus on more of the data entry type of positions. So what do you say in those cases when you do encounter people having concerns and just general resistance to the concept?
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room, right? So yeah, everyone is a bit concerned about that. I do think, at least in the cases we've seen, I think the job doesn't necessarily they don't necessarily get replaced, but they will definitely be changed. Yeah. So perhaps I will take our own jobs as example, like programmers coding, right? So if you read the news, like I believe Microsoft said, I think a couple of months ago, 30% of their code was written by AI, but they're still hiring developers. Why is that? Right? So that doesn't mean that they don't need any programmers. It just means the programmer's job has changed. And we've seen that firsthand because we're doing that every day. It's very different. Right now, if you're not writing a lot of your code with AI, you're kind of falling behind. So you kind of have to adapt to that. But there's still a profession. I think the profession of programming still exists. It's just very different. Yeah. So what we are seeing is that whoever kind of embrace the change will have a really good opportunity to get ahead, because it's a very competitive space, right? If you know how to leverage this, you can get ahead. And at the end, it will probably be like a collaboration between AI and humans. For example, AI right now, what we're building is really good at handle the repetitive tasks. But I don't think it can ever build true relationship with humans, which is like relationship is probably one of the most important aspects in your industry, right? You need to build good relationship, with your customer, and AI cannot do that, right? No matter how real it seems or sounds like a human, it's still AI. So I think humans are incredibly good at building human relationships and tasks that need human touch.
Well, some are. Some still struggle with that.
Yeah, some are. Yeah, you are very good at it, I would say. Yeah, so
certainly try.
Yeah, so your job won't be replaced by AI.
Thank goodness. Yeah. No, I would agree with you. I think the jobs change. I think the jobs actually, I see them being more fulfilling, because you can have a person that's doing all these repetitive things. One, it gets super tedious. Two, the job becomes really redundant and boring if this is all you're doing. I think the real thing that changes with a job is you become more of a value add to the operation internally, and more of a value add for your customer. And so you are really operating at a much higher level than what you were previously, because you take away all these clerical tasks from yourself. And I think you are easier to do business with, because you're not bogged down on all these tasks that can be, like one day you have 150 of these tasks and another day it could be 5. I mean, there's no such thing as level loading anybody's supply chain when you're in a logistics company, because you have so many different customers, and every customer has different demand and supply dynamics in their company. So as a logistics company, you're having to mold yourself to what your customer needs every day. And it's really difficult to do that when you're stuck in one customer, say, for example, doing 200, 300 transactions, trying to get this all taken care of on a particular day, because it's super busy. But you still have to take care of your other customers. You can't just let them disappear on you. And so as I had a boss that said that you never build a church for Easter Sunday, which means Easter Sunday is always the busiest day of church, and people are coming out all over the place. But if you would build it for that type of crowd, you're going to go out of business. And if you're in an operations team, if you're building for your peak at all the time. So what you need to do and what the AI agents really do for us, and where I see it as really adding, and I know I'm rambling, is it helps on those peaks and also helps in the valleys, so that you can level load the customer interaction that you have to ensure that, timely deliveries, or if there are issues, you can jump on those issues, you can identify them quicker, because you're not bogged down in these 300 tasks that you're trying to just do one by one by one by one. So again, much like you, I think it changed the job. I think it makes it a higher level job. And it definitely adds more value to the company when they can employ the agents to do those repetitive tasks for them.
Exactly. Yeah. I think you mentioned a very important aspect, important benefit of what we do is how adaptable it is with fluctuation in demand, which is like a big problem in the industry. And also in the time of growth, you can meet the demand by just having more AI agents without kind of having to scale up your staff, right? And I think in all cases, your staff will be much more available for any of these kind of more customer-facing kind of interaction, which I think ultimately builds relationship and wins you more business.
Oh, absolutely.
All those fluctuating periods when you're scaling up because it's busier, then the agents are, instead of 150 agents doing 150 of those, and maybe you have 300 on a day or whatever. On the periods when things are more down, that seems like the best time for companies to be thinking about what else could be automated, so that the last time that we were dealing with this crazy period, I got bogged down with this, but if we get some agents on this right now, then the next time the big period comes up, that's when you don't have to worry about it so much.
And that's what our call tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. is all about.
That's true. Yeah, we're talking about another use case. Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah.
So in freight and logistics, you've talked about, you've had AI solutions in different industries. Every industry has sort of its own personality, I guess you could say. And in terms of dealing with folks in freight and logistics, have you seen a level of receptiveness that's greater or lesser, or about the same, depending on who you've talked to?
Yeah. First, we actually are laser focused on logistics and transportation. Yeah. And I believe you kind of have to, as a tech provider, you kind of have to immerse yourself in industry. You understand your customer, where you can almost do their job or become them. Then you know how you can build better solutions for them, right? Yeah, and from talking to people in the space, I think first of all, even though I'm a person like a tech guy from Silicon Valley, I actually find people in the freight and logistics space maybe surprisingly forward-looking, or maybe even more forward-looking than some of the folks I work with, even in Silicon Valley. Yeah. I think the reason is it's a highly competitive space. So people are finding all kinds of things that they can do to get ahead. And AI obviously is a very obvious opportunity out there. But at the same time, there are challenges, right? First is a cash constrained space. Everyone is living on a line of credit. Nobody has a bunch of cash to just throw in some efforts that have no clear saving. And secondly, as we talked about earlier, is that there's just a lot of disconnected and maybe even antiquated system in the space. And if AI doesn't have access to what's in the system, the potential it has is limited. Yeah. And that's why how we get in is that first we build agents that can work across different systems. We talk about that. We can do that without API. But another thing is maybe it's also tied with our pricing, is that we don't really ask you for any upfront investment. We don't ask you to switch a system. It takes very little effort to start, and you will start saving, and you only pay when there's saving. And we hope this kind of pricing can make it work for a lot of players in the space, because people need to save, but they don't want to. There's no a huge stack of cash lying around, at least not what I'm seeing, right? When I was in your office, I don't see a huge. Yeah.
We
But
have
you
a
have
money
good
tree
core
out back.
business. Yeah. Okay, I didn't see that. So yeah. Well, there's also a lot of hype and noise about AI right now. Probably a lot of overpromise. So we're trying to really be the one who is focusing on generating real world value. And in order to do that, we have to kind of focus in the space. We have to understand your business, like what you want to provide to your customer, so that we can build actual working solutions for you. Yeah.
So we talked about the job concern. Another concern is obviously that we're talking about data coming through from customers, from the business itself, maybe some other stakeholders mixed in with carriers and things like that. So how do you address the concerns about data security and integrity there?
Yeah, it's a very important topic, right? Yeah. So I think, first of all, I don't think kind of AI providers or AI companies are any different from a call it more traditional tech provider or software provider. We all have to adhere to similar standard when it comes to information security. For example, we are SOC 2 certified, which is a golden standard in North America. It basically defines how we should handle the data, how we should encrypt the data, how it's stored, who has access to the data, all kinds of details. So it's pretty much the same as other software provider. But on top of that, what we need to be careful about when it comes to AI is how the data is being handled, right? Especially when it comes to the continuous improvement or training of these AI solutions. So what we found really useful is that first, that you definitely need good segregation about the data. So when AI learns something about your process, the same updates in our case don't really apply to any other customer. Yeah, we may see some know-how, but then it doesn't mean that the other customer will get the same updates. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's segregation of data, and then there's also in our agreement with customer, including with you, Rick, it's clear that we don't own your customer data. We don't use them for training, so there's no leakage, because these models are highly capable of remember things. Once they are trained on a certain piece of data, they remember it, they may spit it out elsewhere. So we don't train on your customer data, we don't own them. That's a very important principle to have when you come to engage with an AI provider.
Well, that's been a concern, broadly too, with content feeding AI as well, like ChatGPT getting books and news articles loaded in to train them, and there have been agreements where they've been allowed to keep them, and then there's others where they were maybe done a little not above board. So that's certainly been something that people are concerned about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we could go on, and I think there's a lot of different angles that we are nowhere near to diving all the way into. But for now, let's wrap this up by letting people know how they can get involved with Ventus if they're interested.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we have a website. Ventus.ai is our website. ventus.ai. You can come read about us. We have a blog on the website. You can sign up by submitting a form, and we'll be in contact with you. Or you can follow us on LinkedIn. You can search us Ventus AI, and then we'll be providing you periodic updates. Yeah. So yeah, excited to get to know more players in the space, get to know your business, and see how we can help.
Great. Peter, thanks very much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you both. Yeah, it's been a great chat.
So that's a different transportation and logistics application of AI. I mean, we've talked about, there's also just sort of condensing all the data, being aware of the market, things like that. I mean, but but he has Peter has some very specific things and specific to each company that can really help.
Oh, absolutely. And we've seen some success on that already. And as each team member gets their hands on their first bot, there's more excitement and saying, oh, wow, I can do this, and this. I really never thought about it. I mean, there was initially, and there always is going to be, one, change. Two, oh my gosh, my job's going to disappear. You're trying to make it disappear. And that's not the case at all. As I said in the conversation, we really want to take away the mundane tasks, take away the peaks and valleys of those massive repetitive tasks that occur on any particular desk on any particular day, so they can focus in on what they want to do, which is make the customer happy, and then also not have to spend extra overtime hours trying to get everything done. So overall, it's a great tool, and every company is really instituting it in a different way, because I walked through 3 different ways that I see people implementing it. One is understanding data, 2 being basically a bot for human interaction, and then 3 for repetitive tasks. And so everybody's going their direction, and we'll see where it all lays. It's going to be a mix and match of all the technologies, and it's also a mix and match because you're never going to, in terms of technology and what makes sense for technology and what makes sense for people to be plugged into. And part of that is actually that's a decision by the company based off of what do they feel that their value add is. Their value add lots of capacity. Well, maybe they will put more stuff in terms of the AI, more human interaction type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Or if they value the service side and the human touch, okay, well then they're going to do more what we do, which is go after the repetitive tasks, so they can allow the people that are on the front lines with the customer and with the carriers to have more human interaction.
Yeah, the AI agent concept, as I said, really seemed like it's starting to take off last year, and Peter really explained it very succinctly there, that it's succinctly got stuck in my throat there. So it kind of, I was trying to use a big word and there I blow it. So simply there, whereas, it's basically each agent does a specific task. You train them and then they're just there and they're doing it. And the idea behind it applies so many different directions. It's basically, if you have a thought of something that needs to be done, you can probably, not completely yet, but probably train an agent to do something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
At the very least, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, plenty more to talk about in terms of like the overall implications of AI and concerns that people have and the positive experiences. But I think kind of the big thing that I've encountered personally is there's a lot of initial like pushback at the idea, just of like the concept.
Right.
But a lot of times when people actually start to get into it and see things that can be done, the pushback kind of goes away.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you watching and or listening. I'm going to say that again because, Anyway, to the podcast, please do rate and review us however you get this podcast. Please do leave us a comment as well. And you can email us at podcast@inteklogistics.com for any other questions that you'd like to ask offline. Also, you visit us at inteklogistics.com for more about what InTek Logistics does. And stay tuned. We'll have more episodes coming soon. For Rick LaGore, I'm Kevin Baxter. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll be back again soon.